Welcome back, guys, to a brand new live stream on the channel. Hope you're all having a beautiful weekend. Now, we have had a little pullback in BTC today, or at least over the weekend, and that is mainly due to the fact that Trump said that China and the US have, China has pretty much, not gone through with their trade talks, and he's pretty much put a sanction on China. And because of that uncertainty, what we had BTC have a pullback. Now, I don't really think this was anything out of ordinary. If you look at BTC on the weekly chart, you could see that we had 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks of green candles. After 7 weeks of green candles, what you are going to get is a little pullback. If you guys been following me, I did say when it was around 90k region over here, I said that we're most likely going to put in a new all-time high, which we did. Maybe we could have went a little bit higher, but I think that James guy kind of ruined the whole sentiment because the exchanges were pretty much after him to liquidate him. I mean, when you have a $1 billion leverage, people are going to liquidate you, and that's exactly what happened to him. And we had a little pullback, but I don't really think this pullback is anything out of the ordinary. I think as long as we hold above the 100k region, I think we are good. We can even come down as low as 94, which would put us at the bull market support band or the 50-day moving average. This is a possibility. It's not a guarantee to go down here, but we could always, if you hold this region and there's no more disruption from Trump, then we're most likely just going to get the market, slowly grind higher. Because as I said, if there's no uncertainty in the markets and there's nothing to bring us down, the markets will just naturally always go up because the markets need a reason to go down. They don't need a reason to go up. They will always just get leveraged higher. That's how the markets work. And, Trump did come out today and say, let me see if I can find the tweet. Right here. Trump did come out today that he's going to have a phone call this week with President Z, whatever the fuck his name is. And then the market kind of, had a little bounce on that news. So Bitcoin went from 103 to 105 now. It's chilling there. Ethereum is still above its bull market support band on the weekly, which is, I think, is bullish. It did struggle to get above the 200-day moving average and the 50-day moving average. But as long as it's above the bull market support band on the weekly, I think we're okay for another move higher. Dominance has obviously spiked back up, which, if you look, bounced off the bull market support band and just went higher. Is dominance going to continue to go higher? I'm not 100% sure. And one of the main reasons I think dominance, could either stall here or potentially go back lower is simply because you look at the dominance of ETH. ETH dominance, is holding the bull market support band fairly well. It's doing okay. If it gets rejected here and goes down, then dominance will most likely go higher. But the ETH dominance right now is holding strong at the bull market support band. And if we get another, if you get a weak close above the bull market support band, I think that would be very bullish for ETH dominance. Sol dominance is obviously going to come down. It got rejected off the bull market support band. And one of the main reasons I think Sol, I think Sol and XRP and some of these other coins, I think will bleed back into ETH. And I think one of the main reasons is because I do think in June, we will most likely get an Ethereum stake in ETF, which basically allows the institutions to, stake Ethereum. And institutions, they love the yield. So if you can even give them 4 or 5% yield, they're always going to lock that in and they're going to love that. And that's why BlackRock itself, or the clients of BlackRock, been accumulating ETH, a lot more than they have with BTC. I think over the weekend they sold 400 million BTC and they put 70 million back into ETH, which is always a good sign. And I think that is mainly because they're front running the stake in ETF. So once they get Ethereum cheap, they stake it for I don't know how long the staking is for Ethereum, but they can earn that 5% yield, which is always bullish. But an interesting chart that I think you guys should definitely keep in mind is total free, divided by BTC. You guys look over here, right? We had this rally over here. This was around the September time last year. We had this rally, got rejected off the bull market support band over here, then followed and hit this long-term trend line that it's just been following for a very long time. You guys can see for yourself. This was the 2023 pump, but it got rejected off the bull market support band and then basically put in a low at this trend line, and then we rallied into December. The exact same thing is kind of playing out now. Over here, we rallied into the bull market support band, all Bitcoin pairs. It got rejected, and now I think it will most likely find support over here and potentially bounce into June. That is why I do remain bullish in the short term, because this dump, if you follow the M2 chart, depending on which one you follow, it was more or less predicted in that chart. So that's always good to see. But the next move for BTC will be an explosive move. And the thing is like these markets are so hard to predict, just because Trump can come out tomorrow and say the call didn't go well with President Z, then the market would dump again. So it's a Trump market right now. There's not really much people can do anything. Anyone that's trying to do predictions and stuff, like no one really thought that Trump was just going to come out and but once you have 7 weeks of green candle, you are going to have a little pullback. So I don't think it's anything out of the ordinary anyways. Savage, my friend, good to see you. Cook, Alexa, Hassan, good to see you as well. What do I think about crypto talk? AI, RWA, low cap, crazy list of KOLs following them. I haven't heard of it. I'll look into it though. Sounds promising. Simon, good to see you as well, buddy. Lavar, Zeus, Martins, Jamie, good to see you. Andreas, good to see you, my friend. Smash the like, guys. Yes, smash the like. Omar, walaikum salam to everyone, bro. Fantastico, good to see you. Dice Singh, good to see you as well. How are you guys doing today? Well, it's been markets, when it gets boring like this, there's not much really you could do, bro. Like, just like Stan saying, just waiting patiently for old season. I genuinely think old season will happen. It could either happen on the back of rate cuts, which I think will come regardless, because you look at the inflation numbers over here, inflation did rally back up to 2% because oil had a spike. So let me see if I can find the oil chart. Oil over here, it had this little rally to about 64, 60, I think it's 64 per oil, so barrel. And it had a cool off, and that pretty much brought down inflation back down. So it's always a matter of, if you look at inflation, as long as it's below the 2%, which is the Fed's target rate, that's bullish, because every single print that comes out, which we are going to get inflation prints as well this month. We also have unemployment on the 6th of June. So as long as inflation is below the 2% target, it means that every single print that we get moving forward on inflation is going to be, coming lower and lower, which will obviously incentivize the Fed to actually cut rates. But we know Powell is always going to be late. I think Trump did actually meet with Powell last week. No, I think it was on Friday. They spoke. So let's see what happens in June. We do have FOMC coming up as well in probably, I think it's a week's time. So yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting. But you gotta keep in mind, guys, the start of every single month is always going to be a little bit shady, because there's so much data coming out that the market does not like to invest, because they kind of wait for the data to come out. The only people that invest is the DJs that want to gamble. It's either going to go up or down. They gamble, they either go long or short. And pretty much, after the data comes out, then the market will decide what it wants to do. T, good to see you as well, bro. T-Bird should have got more on the dip. Any news, Sensei and Yeah, actually, we do have very good news for Sensei. So they did this community vote. Where should Sensei land next? Cast a vote. We are going to be seeing Sensei on Sui, which I think is very positive, because you look at Sui ecosystem, right? Apart from the meme coins, there's obviously a few good meme coins on Sui, but you look at the utility coins outside the Dexies, outside the other, the DeFi stuff, there's not really many good AI coins on Sui. Like all the ones are just fucking dog shit. Like they called Sui AI or Sui AI agents or Sui Deepin or fucking RWA Sui, some retarded scammy stuff. Like, when a coin is putting two bullish narratives together in the title of the name, it's going to be a scam. So outside of the DeFi stuff and the meme coins, there's not any good AI coin on Sui. So, I think Sensei moving to Sui is going to be very, very bullish for the project because, Sui is obviously a hot chain. I think Sui will continue to do well. It's obviously $10 billion in market cap. So maybe you can do another 3x, 2x, I don't know, around those regions. But even the 2 to 3x on Sui is going to do the ecosystem really well. And, the ecosystem is doing well already, anyways. So this is very positive for Sensei, I think. And Alt does have, they obviously got to fix the supply cut. So, basically 1 billion or 50%, almost 50% of the supply is burnt now. So pretty much what you're going to see for all is, and I think on the AMA, the guy said that they have pretty much been spamming CoinMarketCap. So CoinMarketCap is one that's taking the piss, but this is pretty much going to be cut by half, damn near. So, from 90 million, it will go down to about 48 to about 52 million between those regions. So, and that's going to make the FDV to market cap a lot more attractive, in my opinion. So, I think one thing that we can do as a community is, spam CoinMarketCap and CoinGecko, like email them, telling them to do it. Because sometimes these guys obviously you got to think there's like thousands of projects on CoinGecko and CoinMarketCap. When all these emails and all this shit's happening, if 300-400 people email one, this CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, they're most likely going to see it rather than just, 1 or 2 people doing it. So that's something that we can do as a collective community. Britt, good to see you as well. Chris, good to see you, bro. You did a great job with the alt AMA. It was great watching. It was pretty decent. But the thing is like, none of the alt guys speak English that well. Like that guy, obviously, you could tell English was not his first. Like the only person that could have spoke good English was the Mark, one of the co-founders. But those guys are going to be busy to get a hold of. That's the only problem. So a few called a silico pullback in June 5th, 6th. So I did hold back on DC until now. Taco Trump helped play that. Yeah, look, given specific dates for pullbacks is obviously going to be a bit degen or a bit risky. But this pullback was going to happen. And I did say that we're going to put a new all-time high and then pull back, which pretty much played out the same. So the only thing is like everyone kind of knew this pullback was coming. It's just that when it happens, people just get so shocked. Just like, oh, and one of the main reasons is because on every pullback, dominance tends to go up a lot more, which obviously means their altcoins go down a lot more. And it kind of, makes them feel the dump way more than, what it is. Like BTC realistically only dumped probably like 4 or 5% max. But because the altcoins dumped 10, 20, 30, 40%, then, the dip feels a lot worse than what it really is. So that's I think that's one of the main reasons people are panicking now. Even on crypto Twitter, people are panicking. But this dip was expected. After 7 weeks of green candle, you are going to get a little pullback. It's not anything out of the ordinary. But yeah, I mean, 5th and 6th is not a bad day. I mean, that's like what, Tuesday, Wednesday. That makes sense because we also get unemployment on the Friday, which pretty much correlates with the 5th or 6th. So I don't think it's a bad market prediction because normally before unemployment or inflation, the market tends to sell off a little bit. So keep that in mind. Do I think Sui could catch the hype like Sui did? What's a good entry? I do hold a big bag of C. I was DCAing when we was like somewhere around these regions. So I got in between 15, 16, 14, 13. I was just DCAing around those regions. So, but the thing you'll see is if you go on DeFi Llama, you guys will know C's TVL is growing significantly, which is always a positive outcome. It's almost $500 million. I mean, just look at the chart of the TVL. That's a pretty impressive chart when it comes to the TVL. The fuck's happening? Oh, right here, look. That's pretty impressive. It's in a consistent uptrend, which is positive. I think in a month or two, this could easily get to above 500 million. It'll probably get to even 600 million. And so I do think I think C will catch the hype, but you guys gotta understand by now, it's never ever individual coins. Like some individual coins will outperform, but it has to be a narrative collective thing. It's never ever going to be, yes, one coin can outperform the 5,000 other coins. That doesn't mean the narrative is doing well. It's more about narrative. Is people don't realize, like, all these coins we hold, once the narrative comes, they will pump anyways. It doesn't matter. Some of them just moves a lot more than others just because they have more shillers or they have more people talking about it than others. That's all it is. But collectively, when the narrative hits, they all will pump. And people forget this in September, November, December times. Every single altcoin pumped. Majority of them pumped pretty well. And people forget that when the market's bearish, that these coins are capable of pumping. You just have to have patience to wait till the narrative hits. Deep in itself has been dead for such a long time. And because Deepin's been dead, what do you expect to happen for all the Deepin coins? Yes, there's going to be one or two that'll do 2, 3, 4x in the short term, but they're all just going to dump back down. And the reason is because Deepin is not a bullish narrative at the moment, but I do think at some point this year it will be. You look at AI Tech. Hold on. Let's go on AI Tech. AI Tech's the first crypto project that has a real life data center, right? And then people forget this type of stuff because the market is bearish. But these guys are not only the best marketers in the world, I think they're one of the best marketers in the crypto space in general, but they're going to be the only crypto project now with an actual live data center that's literally going live. I don't know when, but so we're setting new industry benchmark next week. We'll reveal the official launch date of the first and only data center purpose built by a Web3 project. This is anything of the first of anything will do well in crypto. As soon as liquidity comes back, you're going to see AI Tech do really well. So if you've been accumulating at the lows or you buy now, in a few months, it's going to do very well. But not only they're the first data center in the Web3 space, they're also going to get a Binance listing more or less secured within the next month or two. So the only thing this needs now is just tier ones, and they got plenty of funding, of money behind them to do it. If they didn't have money, how else are you going to do a $1 billion USDT buyback on the project? They know what they're doing, because that 1 million they're buying back to support the chart, guess what's going to happen with Binance listing? They might dump some of that. They might take profits on some of it. Who knows? But this is how these projects are. But yeah, these guys are going to be the only data center we have in the Web3 space, which is pretty impressive in my opinion. This is another thing that he's hinting at it. The CEO of Bricken is hinting at a big partnership that's coming for Bricken. I can't reveal it, but just look at this. Dubai launches first licensed tokenized real estate project in MENA region. So they've posted this, and they've posted this. So you can put 2 and 2 together and understand what type of partnership is coming for Bricken. So there you guys know. Supra to top 100G. Supra is one of those projects you just have to let bottom out. And until we see Supra, or until we see the price of Supra reach, somewhere close to at least the early investors, then the likely chances of Supra in the short term doing anything is unlikely. You have to see this, somewhere near these prices right here, strategic, or at least these prices here, seed, pre-seed. I think we're actually below this on me. Let me check. What's Supra's price now? I've not looked into this one in a while. I don't think it will get to the top 100, but it's definitely a good project though. But the only thing, like I said, with most of these projects, the only issue is the dilution. That's it. This was one of those projects that done really well off launch. Everyone got bullish on it and then got trapped, because that's how most projects launch. Most decent projects, they launch, they do a bunch of marketing, everyone talks about it, it pumps significantly, and obviously they pumped at the bullish part of the market, so of course it was going to pump. It obviously sells off when the market gets bearish because no one gives a shit. And then once it bottoms out, then when the narrative comes back around, it will do very well. So it's one of those. Wait till What's oh shit? If that's pre-seed 0.05, which means now is already below pre-seed. So I don't really think it can go much lower from here. I don't think. Yeah, maybe if it holds this region, then that could be a big double bottom, and then it could pump. Yeah. So it is below the pre-seed investors, which means that if we do have unlocks in the future, you're not really going to get dumped on because these guys, and all these guys are down on their investment. So unless there's some stupid people that's going to sell it at a loss, it's very unlikely you're going to see much more down, price action for Supra. I think Supra has a lot of OTC selling. There you can see price forms overall hype last week seems slow down. I don't think is that. I think it's that to do with the CETAS hack as well. So institutions and investors in general, when they see specific hacks on the project or on the ecosystem, they don't really like that. So if it makes sense anyways. I mean, the people that got into Sui, they're up like hundreds of X's. So of course they're gonna book profits when some uncertain shit happens. So I do think there's a lot of OTC selling as well. I do agree. But there's also selling mainly because of the hack. So I think it's mostly because of the hack, because I think it's like 200 million that got hacked. Sui reimbursed CETAS on the money. So whichever, I don't know how much money specifically they lost, but whatever they lost, Sui reimbursed them. And eventually CETAS does have to pay back Sui at some point. So it's a little bit of a weird situation, but there has been a lot of OTC deals been happening. Beam's been doing OTC deals. There's like 4 other projects that's been recently doing OTC deals. It's actually quite good to do them. You do get a little vesting schedule, but if let's say Sui was down here, if you do an OTC deal, you might get it down here, or like down here maybe even if you're lucky. So if you did OTC deal at 178, you might have got it below $1, which is crazy to think. Yeah, not precise date, just an ETA. Yeah, I do agree with you on that, my friend. I do agree with you. I do think there will be some sort of I think the bottom will be some in the first week of June. I do agree with that. Given the current trend, unless we see clear indication in QE in coming months, this market environment is likely to persist hard and normal alt season. Look, you're not ever gonna see QE till like next year sometime, bro. Like QE don't happen until rates are 0. You don't need QE for an alt season. You just need end to QT, which I think will happen over the summer. And the reason is because I've explained it many times. I kind of don't want to go over it again, but you look at the banking reserves. I don't really have the chart for it at the moment, but I do have it in my Discord. But there's a specific chart that shows investors, the people that's holding treasuries, those guys are down 7 to 8 times worse than they would, in terms of investment wise. They're down 7 to 8 times more than the 2008 crash, which means all these banks that's been buying debt and buying treasuries, etc., they at massive losses. And then if the banks, or at least if the Fed keeps continuously doing QT, what happens is you end up going, there's like a limit that you can do QT and the money that's getting out of the system, but past that limit, you go into the reserves of the banks, which means at some point, when you tap too much into the reserves of the banks, some of these banks can go insolvent. And if you know how a banking run happens, it happens very fast. Because what will happen is, if I hear rumors now that Bank of America is likely to go down in 2 weeks, I'm gonna rush to get my money out of Bank of America, and then 10, 21 million other people is gonna do the exact same thing. And then people around the world start to hear, oh, Bank of America is going down. Let me get my money out this bank, that bank. And then what happens is you get an entire collapse of the banking system where a lot of these banks go insolvent. And I don't think the Fed wants to actually, I highly doubt they will push QT that far, considering we're already below COVID levels. So pre-COVID printing, we're already below that. So in the last 4 years, the Fed has pretty much sucked out $11 trillion out of the system. And people wonder why ETH is not doing well, why altcoins are not doing well. It's because all the money they printed in COVID they've just sucked it back out. So that's basically what's been happening. That's what QT is. QT, the best way to explain is, imagine you have a swimming pool full of money or full of water. QT is, there's a small hole at the bottom that's slowly draining that water back out. But at the same time, there's still water coming back in because the central banks, or not even central banks, but the government is printing money to keep the government funded. So that's all it is. But recently, what we have seen is we've seen Doge cut that government spending. So there's less water coming into that pond, but there's still water coming out from the QT side. So there's water still coming out of the swimming pool, and the swimming pool liquidity is slowly drying up. You understand? So, and we're seeing that through GDP as well. How do these guys have high GDP? One of the main reasons comes from government spending. In COVID, when no one was working, most people were locked down. How was GDP so high? It's because they can print GDP, and that's what they're going to do moving forward. When Treasury Besson says we're going to make GDP higher than debt, how else are they going to do that? They're going to print GDP again. They're going to either derelegate the banks, which means banks can now start doing, what banks normally do is they do this shady stuff. So they'll offer large amounts of money for people, and then that's how the 2008 crisis happened. Banks were given a bunch of money. The housing market obviously collapsed, but the banks were doing shady stuff as well because they weren't regulated. And one of the main reasons why banks got regulated was because of the 2008 crisis. Banks were just giving money to people left, right, and center because everything was pumping or everything was on blinks, and then everything collapsed. And the banks had to get regulated, but they're going to unregulate the banks now, which means they're going to start loaning money to people. And then when there's more money in the system, it goes somewhere. The money goes into risk assets. That's what happens. And all that 7 trillion that's sitting in the money markets, that's not going to stay there forever either. That's eventually going to move to riskier assets. It's just a matter of how long people are, expecting uncertainty in the market. Now, if Trump did not do what he did a fucking week ago, that some of that money would have probably already left the money markets. People go to the money markets as a hedge against uncertainty. They either go into gold or the money markets because the money markets is the most liquid market there is. So big players park their money there for a little bit of yield. Why not? And then when there's uncertainty, they don't like taking that money out. And that's what Trump is causing in the short term, is causing that uncertainty, which is at the same time making people uncertain. Gold, I mean, realistically, we should have already seen gold put in a new all-time high, but people are still optimistic about something. And I think that is because they know that the Fed is going to cut rates this year. It's very evident. Anyone that tells you there's no rate cuts this year is just stupid. Inflation's going down, unemployment's holding the line, but GDP is contracting. Consumer confidence is contracting. These are enough indications for the Fed to at least cut once or twice this year. And that is why people are not parking the money into gold anymore. And that's why gold, putting this all-time high and just being stagnant, because there's nothing, apart from what Trump is doing, there's not really much to hedge against. If there's upcoming events to hedge, people will just park their money into gold for a little bit. And then once that hedgeable event is done, they just sell off their gold and go somewhere else. BTC was a place that they've been going to. Few friends got Sui OTC deal 115. Fuck, that's actually that's a great deal. It's so hard to hear everyone crying. Can't imagine how these people. Yeah, look, this is crazy, right? You get a massive pump. Some altcoins done well, some didn't. It doesn't really matter. You don't hear for 3-4x anyways. You're here for 10, 20, 30x. And then once BTC has a 4-5% pullback, a lot of these alts do get fucked. And that is because dominance. Look what dominance done. Went up by 3%, which is massive. It's a lot. So it is one of those where I think the crying may continue in the first half or the first week or two of June. But that, when the more people you hear crying, the more optimistic you should become, because nothing goes down forever, nothing goes up forever. So when too many people are bullish when dominance is down here, that should be something you should be worried about. Checking sentiment is always a good thing. Whether it's YouTube comment sections, whether it's crypto Twitter. Crypto Twitter is probably the best place to check for sentiment. If motherfuckers is just spamming alt season every 5 seconds and this, that, and that, that's a good indication to at least book a little bit of profits, because the reality is when everyone's screaming something, it doesn't happen. It's when everyone's scared and it does, and everyone's basically saying it's not going to happen. That's when technically, realistically it will happen. So when you see a bunch of people, now everyone's starting to get scared again. And if you look at the fear and greed index, is very evident what the fear and greed index is doing. It's more or less like it's capitulating, but it's in the middle right now. So people don't know, I think it's neutral at the moment. Maybe a little bit of greed, I'm not too sure. But that's a good indicator to use as well, the fear and greed. And CT, if you look at crypto Twitter and everyone's screaming no alt season, and people are, I've seen people start predicting 70K again for BTC, 80K for BTC. I don't really think that's gonna happen, but if we lose this level, that's it, bro. This cycle's done. Doesn't matter what happens. No alt season this year. Who gives a shit? That's the cycle done. If we go below these regions here, I would be very nervous. Chris, I appreciate the €2, my friend. Yeah, drop a like, guys. I would appreciate it. Mugen, good to see you, bro. How you been? Another very positive update from one of our coins is ArtTrade has now officially partnered with Crypto.com, and that's a tier 1 exchange. And I think this is very, very good for ArtTrade. And they did hint at a partnership. The partnership was either going to be, it was something to do with one of the blues. I thought it was going to be Chainlink, but it turned out to be Crypto.com, which even surprised me. So this is a very, very good development for ATR partnering with Crypto.com, which means there's going to be more people on their platform now, which is always positive, because everything on their platform requires token utility, which also requires, look at their DAO. Doesn't matter how well the tokens do and market go up or down, but the DAO is growing, which means more and more people are staking the token, and more and more people are using the platform. This is one of those projects that requires good DAO growth, because more people stake the token and more people use it. And the more people use it, the more it gets staked, the less, the more volatile the token becomes in terms of upside potential as well. It's always positive. And if you look at as well, another good one is Nuclei. Nuclei recently, they've been doing great work, but at the same time, because they've launched the the House of Crypto is also following this now. So he's starting to catch on to this as well. But you look at the website, right? They have this launchpad coming out soon. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Oh, I think the launchpad's already out. But from their launchpad alone, they've already staked 150 million NAI, which means that the 150 million tokens is out of circulation now. There's going to be more price stability, and when and if you look at NAI is one of those assets that genuinely moves really fast in both directions. But ever since they've done this, the launchpad, the price has become a lot more stable now. Is starting to hold this region fairly strong, and that is because 150 million got staked, which is massive. 400 other million is being put in the DAO, and there's no unlocks till like November. So this one is bringing so much token utility, and being at 10 million, I think is very undervalued, in my opinion. Very undervalued. But this is something I think, I don't know when he'll drop it, but is a massive partnership. You guys are going to enjoy this one. What else? PropBase just sold out their third property. So I think this is pretty massive. I mean, if you look at most RWA coins, most of them ain't doing shit in terms of tokenization. They ain't tokenized shit. PropBase are tokenized 3 properties now already. and this one just fully sold out within 11 hours, which means people are using the platform. I think these guys, PropBase in terms of RWA, has one of the best communities, and it's quite evident, right? You look at this chart over here. You look at the top 10 most posted altcoins. PropBase is always there. Rio is always there, and there's a bunch of other coins as well that has solid communities, and is in there all the time. It's not just once or twice. They're literally in there all the time. Let me see if I can just. It's consistent. Is community does play a massive role. This guy always posts these charts, and every single time you're always gonna catch. Look, PropBase Rio. PropBase Rio. Consistency. That is always positive. Just look at this one. Look at Rio's at the top. On was it on Thursday? On Saturday. And Rio as well. I fully forgot to hold on. What was it called? Is it Freehold Wallet? Freehold Wallet for Rio is going to be dropping on the 1st of June. There he is. The official date is official, or the release date is official. The Freehold Mobile for iOS launches on the 1st of July. So in 1 month, it is going to be, it is going to be launching. And I did tell you guys, this is the main product for Rio, in my opinion, because what it allows people to do is it basically gives them a platform to tokenize, anything they want without any middleman. And I do think this platform will be used. And because of this, I think Rio will start to get used a lot more. I think the Rio token will start to get used. And you got to keep in mind, guys, Rio, 90% of the tokens, or about 90-something% of the tokens is staked. If the tokens are staked, 90% is staked, that means there's only 10% in circulation, maybe even less because they burnt a bunch of tokens as well. So maybe let's say 8-9% in circulation. What that means is it's going to be very volatile, but on the upside is also going to be volatile. So when we pump, you're going to see Rio pump a lot more than what it would normally, because 90% is staked and only 10% is available to buy. That's why staking is so important. And the same thing goes with PropBase. PropBase has 4 million TVL on their website, which means 4 million tokens, which is about 33% of the supply staked as well. That's what a solid community does. People that believe in a project, they'll stake it for long term. They don't care, because not only it brings stability to the price, and it will also do other. It's just people have their conviction. People are using the platform. That's all it is. Peter, good to see you, buddy. Do I think LogX and Lightlink will do well? Yeah. So look at Lightlink. This is one thing that people always forget about Lightlink. It is a layer 2 to Ethereum, but look how impressive their TVL is for the market cap. It has 1.1 million TVL. People don't understand how impressive that is compared to the market cap. Lightlink, I think, will do very well, not only because I think once Ethereum wakes up, which Ethereum has to wake up at some point, their layer 2 will also wake up, right? And then you look at what these guys have been doing recently. They've been expanding to to AI agents. So they're like a layer 2/AI agent type of platform. And I think they got listed. I think they reposted it. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. They also partnered with a Lamborghini as well, which is quite crazy. Team Lightlink is in Monza for Lamborghini, Supra, whatever, because they partnered with these guys. Motorverse is partnered with Lamborghini. Obviously, they partnered with American brand as well. But they're not just partnered; they work very closely with these two companies. And through these guys, or through this company, they've managed to form a partnership with Lamborghini, which is crazy. I didn't even think that. But look at this. Different options, one shared infrastructure, all deeply integrated AI agents into their stacks. 600K users, blah blah blah, and Lightlink is also in the mix. So they've just expanded to AI agents, but they're already being noticed, which is positive. When you get put into like the likes of Aether, Solana, and all these other fucking high caps and light links in there. That's pretty impressive, because that means they have a decent AI agent at least working already. So that's that's very positive. But yeah, the TVL is growing massively. Guys can see for yourself. For a $4 million coin, your TVL is 1.1 million. I think that is fairly impressive. You look at fucking GFI, look how shit this coin is. This is an RWA coin that literally requires TVL, because the more TVL it has, the more people are using the platform. This only has 600k TVL, and the market cap is 72 million. Look at the difference between that and Lightlink. 4 million market cap, but the TVL is double, almost double pretty much the TVL of GFI. So I do think Lightlink will do well. I think the time for Lightlink will come. My private group made initially, when we got into this down here, it done like a 7 to 8x in like a day randomly. So it's not like it's not prone to pumping. It will pump. And I think once layer 2s wake up again, as a degen layer 2 low cap that has good TVL, very low market cap, I do think this will wake up at some point. You just have to be patient with the degens. The degens will pump when we get back into greed. And the exact same thing goes for LogX. LogX, you guys got to keep in mind, when the market was bullish, this pump's done very well, done like a 4 or 5x. And that, because you got to keep in mind, this is a new project. It's not, this launched in 2024, has never seen a bull run, but their decks get used a lot. Even this has a TVL of almost 1 million, which is pretty good. The market cap's 2 million, and the TVL is almost 50% of that. Or let's say 3 million, so let's say 33%. That's good TVL, which means people are locking up their tokens, because there's token utility that people use the decks. Their decks reached over 1 billion. Pretty sure it was over 1 billion in total transactions, which is, I think, is pretty impressive. So where is it? They normally put it here. No, they don't. Oh yeah, there we go. Look, 28 billion total volume on the DEX. 4 million today. 4 million today's volume. 665k users. So people are using that platform. Is it evident? Yeah, I think it'll do well, in my opinion. I mean, guess what's next? RWAs are next. And last time I've reviewed this, last time I spoke about it was sometime in November, December. They only had 3 of these. They had the perp market, they had the leverage, they had the options. Now they got the pre-markets, the spot markets, and what's next is the RWAs. And this is going to get ticked off as well, because their meme coin launchpad is out now. The people that stake LogX will get access to all the meme coins that launch on their platform. So that's token utility in itself. It's like you stake the token, you get rewarded. That's why I think the TVR will most likely continue to grow. And keep in mind, guys, LogX is backed by Coinbase Ventures. So that's pretty decent in my opinion. They got $10 million raised. So it's not like they're going to be short on money anytime soon. They only launched like 6 months ago. 7 months ago. So yeah. I'm still bullish on LogX, I think it will do very well. Trading volume is there. People are using the decks. Once the RWAs come, and it caters to the RWA narrative, I think you put this in the RWA category. I think it will do very well. It's already got the meme coin launchpad done. So they've been doing, in terms of their roadmap, they've been doing fairly well, in my opinion. They haven't missed anything. That's going to be done. That's going to be next. Treasury yield, that's still RWA. And then gaming is going to be next. Treasury yield I think, will be impressive. Anywhere that has yield, people will use it. I don't know what they're going to do with gaming, but that's on their roadmap. That's last on the roadmap. So yeah, there's a pretty good things coming soon, for this project. And they're like a layer 1 as well. So 30,000 TPS. Big partnerships as well. I don't see a world where this does not pump at least a 10x from here. At least I just don't see a world when we get back into a bullish market. Keep in mind that the vesting for this for the end of the year is less than 10x. I mean less than 2x. I mean not 10x. It's less than 2x. So there's not a lot of dilution. And I think it'll do fine in my opinion. This looks like a normal chart. Came out, did fairly well, and then dumped when everything else dumped. It's not like this dumped, when everything else pumped. This dumped in December like everything else did. And it will wake up again once we get into the extreme greed, because they are good marketers as well. It will definitely pump. So have to be patient. Any news on AGI? I have not been following AGI too much. I still hold my bag, but I have not been following it as much, my friend. But they are still working though, I'm pretty sure. Let me see. From what I've seen, their Lucy thing is pretty much almost done. Their Lucy, what's it called? The Lucy Swarm agent. Yeah, I think their Lucy agent's almost done. And I think this year they're going to be expanding back into the gaming side as well. Which AI gaming, keep in mind, guys, AI gaming, I think will do very well. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about AI gaming now. So I genuinely think AI gaming will wake up, be positioned into AI gaming. Because gaming in general, I don't think will pump, just gaming coins alone. However, I do think gaming, AI, coin, AI agents, and gaming, I think they go hand in hand. I think AI and gaming can do very well. So get at least 1 or 2 AI gaming coins, whether it's Snift, G Swift. There's a bunch of new ones coming out as well. Those are the ones you can trade, but the most prominent ones I think will do well is G Swift, because everyone knows about G Swift anyways. But also Snift as well. I think Snift will still do well. So I've not been following this. On the next live stream, I'll let you know what these guys have been doing. But I know they're building their Lucy stuff is almost done. If you had to choose one at the moment, Bricken or PropBase, at the moment I probably will go with PropBase. And the reason is because Bricken's up like 3x for the lows. And it's been holding, like Bricken always holds really strong. 35 million TVL. That's very impressive. Very, very impressive. That's way more than the market cap itself. The TVL more than the market cap that's impressive in itself. So Bricken, I think this one will do very well though. I've been covering Bricken since the day they came out, since down here. Literally, when I did my AMA with Bricken, the price was like literally down here. I think we caused this little pump somewhere. I can't remember when it was. It was like 5 cents, 6 cents or some shit. I don't know why it doesn't show on here, but on Nexi, it was like 5 cents or some shit. This is always wrong. It's like 5, 6 cents at that point. And it rallied up. We caused this initial pump, I'm pretty sure, or caused at least one of these pumps. And it came back down and then just exploded up. I've been covering Bricken for a very long time. Made some decent money on this, and I think it will do well in the future as well. I mean, when the TVL is higher than the market cap, that's impressive. Very impressive. What's my take on ZBCN? Let me have a look at this. Good to see you complete as well, buddy. Oh, Zebec. Someone in my private group was holding this, and he done very well for him. Done like a 6x. Obviously, you don't want to be buying this now. I mean, look at that chart. You never ever want to be buying this now, because the likely chances of this continuing to pump is very low compared to the chances of it dumping. Because if you look at it on the 30-day chart, it's up over 300%. So if you want to be buying a project after it's up 300%, you are going to 9 times out of 10 lose money. There's going to be a time, maybe 1% chance you might make money on this if it continues to pump a bit more. But the reality is 500 million in market cap is fucking high, bro. But this is like an RWA project. I did look into it. 50K on-chain users are pretty impressive. They do also have the payment system as well. But they got some very big backers. OKX Ventures, Republic Crypto, which is a big name in the VC world. Shima's decent as well. Let me see. The rest of them, I'm not too sure what the fuck they are. But it's on Solana, it's RWA. RWA and Solana tends to do okay. Like, for example, look at cola. I told you guys to buy cola in one of my streams. Well, I think it was like sometime in April when we was at the fucking lows. I told you guys to buy this. Okay, look what he did. It was somewhere around these regions. I can't remember when it was, but it was during the April time when everything was just going to shits. Cola was one of my trades. It did not pump for a while, so I just held on to it, and then boom, just fucking exploded out of nowhere. Done like a 9x. So this is another RWA on Solana. The same thing would happen to ATR as well. We got into ATR early, and it just fucking exploded. We got it down here at like 0.01, and it just went to like 0.07. I don't know why it doesn't show on here. So Solana coins and RWA coins, like they tend to do well. So get at least one, whether it's eight. I'd rather get into ATR because they're gonna burn another 33% of whatever the fucking token. So this is gonna come down. That's obviously gonna come down because they're gonna burn a bunch of it. This market cap will probably come down to like 18 million after the burn, I reckon. Maybe a bit less. I don't know, but they burn every quarter. Burn 33%, use 33% for the DAO, and then the rest they do something else with. I can't remember. Did you find something TVL on Auth? Auth does not have TVL. I think the amount of token, there's 100 million Auth being staked. So I don't know how much that's worth. 100 million Auth. You can see on the finger on the website. There's 100 million Auth being staked. So I don't know how much that would equate in terms of thingy. You see over here. Hold on. Pretty sure it's 100 million. Yeah. So total stake is 100 million Auth. It's pretty decent. 100 million is pretty impressive. So 100 million Auth is being staked. I don't know how much that would work out to be in the TVL shit. So do the maths, and it will tell you the TVL for Auth. So there's 100 million being staked, and that's only going to increase more and more because the more people use the data hub, in order for you to actually use the data hub for Auth, you have to stake the tokens to get the more rewards. So, and I've told Max Lee to increase the staking from like, I think it's like 5,000. I told him to put it to 20,000. So you get more rewards as a tier 4. And what that will do is it will bring the TVL even higher, and it'll bring more stability to the price, because the more token gets staked, the less comes out of circulation. So the reality is there's like 400 in circulation right now, right? 430. There's, minus 100 and something million of that, because the rest is being staked, and it will most likely stay staked. So 100 million is being staked, which I think is pretty decent. So the real circulating supply for this is 333 million, because all the tokens are, that get staked is out of the circulation pretty much. Anyways, T-Moose, good to see you, bro. Thomas, no, not T-Moose, Thomas. Retail interest is at the bottom despite BTC doing all-time high. Every time they enter, they're shaken out. More experienced investors take profits early. Any moment, Trump. I do agree with you with that. I do think anytime the market gets even half bullish, but then you have to think at the market conditions. In 2023 and 24, a lot of retail came in then, and they made a little bit of money, so they've seen the upside potential. But you also got to keep in mind, in November, December, or September, after Trump won the election, BTC was like 74, 73K. So even then, retail still saw money. And you have to keep in mind, right? As long as retail knows they can make money in this space, they will come. So, like I said, after Trump won the election, a bunch of retail started flowing into crypto. And that's why we're seeing BTC go from 73K up to like 110K. Most of that, I would say, is retail. So they've seen the market. They look at BTC. Some of them might have joined at 80K, 90K, but they've seen, I bought BTC at 90K. I could have made 20K. That's how it works. That's how the greed will always get to these retail investors, because they've seen it, they've witnessed it. They look at the chart. Some of them are probably thinking now, oh shit, the people that sold and capitulated. Oh shit, if I got in at 74, I could have made, this much 30-40% when it pumped to a new all-time high. So that alone will bring retail back. But the type of retail that's going to come back, I think, is when BTC maybe goes above 120K, maybe 130K. I think that will bring a lot more retail back. And keep in mind, guys, one of the main reasons I think we'll always have an alt season, number one, because they will always print anyways. So sometimes business cycles tend to take a little bit longer. But this Ponzi scheme, the fiat system, will always print to the point where printing cannot do anything. And that's where they're going to get to, in my opinion. Look at Argentina. They've printed so much, and Venezuela and all these countries, they just printed so much that you can just go outside now and there'll be fucking hundreds of thousands of money on the floor because the money is so worthless. It's just a piece of paper to people. People just throw away the money. And that's what happened to most of the countries at some point. And then the whole system is going to collapse. But I don't think we're there at the moment. People tend to think that we're coming towards the end of the fiat system. I don't think it will be there for another 5 years. It will happen. Look at Japan's GDP today. It's like 200 and something percent. US is only 100%, and Japan's still doing okay economically. So US still has another 100 something percent to reach before people start to get a little bit more nervous. So I think there's still a little bit more room for this Ponzi scheme to continue. And the Ponzi scheme will continue. And guess what's going to happen? There's going to be more printing being done. They've just increased the debt ceiling again. When the debt ceiling gets increased, what do you think they're increasing it for? Increasing it so they can start spending more. That's what the debt ceiling is there to do. So they spend more. Because Elon Musk came in and he's seen that it's almost impossible to fix the deficit because the deficit is 2 trillion. He managed to cut 500 billion. 500 billion, is still a good amount in my opinion, but it's impossible because, and I'll tell you why it's impossible. 1 trillion of the deficit, it goes to government military spending. But why would they never cut the military with the spending for the military, even though it's way too much? 1 trillion is too much. The reason they won't cut is because the dollar is backed by the US military power. So if they start cutting the spending from the military, the dollar also weakens. People trust the dollar a little bit less. That's why they'll never cut, and that's why the deficit will never be fixed. If anything, I think it will just continue to increase. They'll spend more, they'll print more, and the more they print, the better it is for all coins and the market in general. On top of that, our QT will come to an end. I'll just explain to you guys why. Because we most likely will tap into the banking reserves. Most of the institutions that got the debt, the treasuries, anything for the last 4 or 5 years, they're in like 7 to 8 times more loss than they would have been in 2008 crisis. So they can't afford to tap into the banking reserves as much as they think they can, because you're going to get bank run after bank run after bank run. We got a bank run in 2023, if anyone remembers, or if you were there, in June, July 2023. After we had an AI hype, market after the FTX crash, we had a massive pump in AI, and then we had a bank run, everything collapsed like 20-30%, and then the Fed came to the rescue. So when we do get the bank runs, if it happens, guess what's going to happen? The Fed's just going to come to the rescue. Last time they printed like 500 billion to save the bank. They're going to do the same shit again. So, the more they push the system, the more they have to print. That's all it is. Because they can't just collapse. They can't just default on the debt. Because when that happens, everything fucks up. The whole system collapses. I don't think any of these guys want, the Fed don't want that, and the government don't want that. There will always be an old season. It's just that in a business cycle, it can just take a bit longer. And fucking Trump coming in and doing all this tariff shit is making it 10 times worse. Because I guarantee you, if it wasn't for the tariffs, power would have already cut last month, this month, the month before that. It would already cut. Because inflation is coming down rapidly. Unemployment's holding the line. So what other reason is there not to cut? Because of the tariffs. But we are seeing now the tariffs clearly don't do shit, because inflation is still below the Fed's target. It's at 1.85%. So there's no reason for the Fed not to cut. And then GDP is contracting, consumer confidence is all contracting. They have to do something. And I think sometime in the summer, it's almost guaranteed, I think, that they will end QT. And when QT ends, you're going to get an old season. So it's just about surviving the next couple of months for QT to end. and then you get your little alt seasons maybe in the next 4 or 5 months. So it's all about people often think like, oh, they can just keep doing QT forever. No, they can't. They can't keep doing QT forever, because if there's not enough liquidity in the markets, everything just fucks and collapses. So they can't do that. And the more they suck out the system, the more pressure you put on the banks. And that's something one of the Fed, it wasn't Powell, but one of the other ones made it very clear that we can't QT forever, because we're gonna eventually put too much stress on the banks. It's all public information, just ChatGPT. Trump can say some shit and exchanges can dump the price. Well, it's mostly exchanges. It's all a game of leverage, right? And I've said this for many, like ever since I've been on YouTube, I've always said most of this is a game of leverage. If people keep leveraging, for example, right, if you go into BTC at the lows down here and you leveraged, what do you think? How much profits are you going to make up here? Lots. So of course the exchange is going to come in, minimize the profits, and liquidate people. So it is a game of leverage, and these fucking any reason, for the markets to dump, the exchanges will do. These exchanges are fucking I would say the biggest outside of Trump, the biggest fuckers that's not allowing the market to pump outside of Trump right now is the exchanges. Binance, OKX, these guys have unregulated market makers, abroad, that just fuck the markets. They can, because they got the money to do so. And every single time we dump a little bit, sentiment of retail gets worse. And guess what happens? They sell their coins, and then the market makers start to push the price back up. They FOMO in, they take profits, and they keep rinsing and repeating this shit nonstop. Look what they've been doing. Pump, consolidate, pump, consolidate, pump, consolidates, pump, consolidate. And they're going to do maybe one last pump. But this is how they catch people every time. Is the consolidation that kills the altcoins, and it kills the retail sentiment. And then when it pumps back up, they just FOMO back in. And then while they FOMO, they use those exit liquidity. So don't be one of those fuckers. From QT, there's no stopping of the QT from the Fed. Consumer confidence very low, and they're not good confidence. Yeah, look, when consumer confidence is low and GDP is contracting, that gives the Fed even more reasons to end QT. That's what you're forgetting to realize. I don't think we're running out of time. In a business cycle, there's no time period, bro. There's no time specific period. The only time period we have is maybe a recession that's looming over our heads. But, like I said, people have been calling recession for the past 4 years, and it hasn't happened yet. Maybe they can extend it for another year and a half. But there's no time limit in a business cycle. People keep referring to the 4-year cycle. I don't think the 4-year cycle is intact. It can't be. Because in a 4-year cycle, Q1 was always bullish. What happened Q1 this time? We had the worst Q1 in history. So the 4-year cycle, I don't think is intact anymore. I don't think you should use the 4-year cycle as a good indication for the markets. Good day to you as well, my friend. Yeah, Sniff does look bottomed. To be fair. It's just been in the same range, trading at the same range for the past 4 months. Literally. Well, let's say 3 months. It's just been trading in the exact same range for 3 months. This is when I say something's bottomed, I would say this is bottomed. Bin went to AI as well as big caps. Yeah, they went to AI and they also went to RWA, but they haven't really had any products in either thoughts. There's some truth to that, Martins, but you gotta keep in mind as well that without the token and without because you gotta keep it. This is how I think of it, right? The main focus is the data hub. What would influence people to use the data hub is them earning the alt token. So, and I made this very clear to them as well. And I told them, listen, what would incentivize people to use the data hub more? If alt was at 5 cents or at 50 cents? If I in the West knew that I could earn $5, $6 every day using the data hub, from completing the task, because the token's at fucking 50 cents, 60 cents, $1, is that going to incentivize me more, or is is if it's at 5 or 6 cents, no one's going to give a shit. So I made that very clear to them, and they understood that. So I do understand that they're always going to be business first, but you got to keep in mind everything on the alt system is run through the alt token, so it can't be, they can't really pick a side. Everything on the system is run through the alt token. So when they use the storage, is used through alt. With the Human AIX Alliance, everything is run through the alt token. So they can't just forget about the token. It doesn't work like that. You guys, people will come up with anything when the market's bearish. They come up with the most random bullshit that doesn't make no sense. Not you, Martin, specifically, but just in general. And they'll just come up with a random FUD that just, because the market's bearish. This is what happens to retail and people. When we're bearish, when the market's bearish, they'll come up with the most stupidest excuse to sell their tokens. But I guarantee you, no one was talking about doing any of this FUD now. Back in December when he pumped 4x in a week. That's how sentiment shifts quick. Like don't get fallen for that. A project that's developing, the price action will always catch up. If you're overexposed to alt, maybe get rid of some. Some people clearly are overexposed. Don't be overexposed, and obviously we never marry our bag. If I start seeing alt doing some stupid shit, I'm gonna sell the token. I don't give a shit. I can just make my money back elsewhere. Makes no difference. But they're business first, but at the same time, everything is ran for the token, so they can't really be business first. They have to focus on the token itself as well. And that's why the guy was saying specifically, it's all about timing. It's all about timing. When they get an exchange listing, it's about timing. It's not about, people wanted OTK to get on Mexi. And once it did, what the fuck happened? It just caused a pump and dump. And I've said this a million times, and people don't understand that these exchange listings are fucking useless, because all it does is just cause a short-term pump and then dump straight after. That's it. You have to do these, these listings or whatever at the right time. Otherwise, they have no significant improvement on the price. But when dominance is at 64% and most of these altcoins are struggling, it's not because their altcoin is shit. It's because dominance is at 64% and most people are too scared to go risk on. If people are scared to take risk, they're not gonna take risk. It's that simple. So just be patient with some of these, bro. Like Migos, as a trade, I traded it, but that's about it. You don't need to test stake to use the data hub. You get rewarded. Now you do need to stake. You get rewarded, get access to more tasks if you stake more, which is great utility. You don't need to stake to use the data hub, no. But what they do is every single month they airdrop all the stakers. So if you're tier 3 and tier 4, they basically send you USDT, whether it's like 100, 250, 75, whatever it is. You basically earn money through staking the token, which is, I think, is perfect utility. And what they're looking for now is to increase the utility. Is they want to increase the price of basically increase the prices for tier 3 and tier 4, which will incentivize more people to stake the token, which is even more bullish in my opinion. So maybe we'll go to 150 million stake, maybe 200 million stakes. Who knows? But they already got 100 million tokens staked, which is pretty decent. But yeah, that's what the token utility with the data hub is. If they can get some real world prizes every month, for example, if you're the top user or you're a staker and you can earn some real world prizes, whether it's fucking mouse or keyboard or some stupid shit, right? People will be more incentivized to do. So and that's what the CEO was looking to do. I think he made a post about it. Let me see if I can find it. Hold on. Max Lee. So just like this is what you guys could do, like just simple stuff like this, right? Look, where's it gone? So they already got 300. Well, they got 200k users on the data hub now, which is pretty impressive. But what he wanted to ask was, where is it? Yeah, look, we're exploring more exclusive benefits for our tier 4 data hub users. So if you got any ideas, just write it down. I had an idea. I wrote it down. I said, make tier 3 more than 20k tokens. So more tokens being staked is always better for token users, anyways. So make tier 4 20k token, or because 20k or is not a lot. Improve the benefits. Real world, fuck. I messed up this up. It's supposed to be a Z, but reward prizes, more involvement with the project, airdrop to the tokens on the ecosystem, airdrop to new tokens using the alt layer one. I think that gives people pretty decent. I don't know who the fuck this is, but look. Oh, this is good as well. Look, people that stake or will earn 5 to 10% annual yield. I think that's also pretty decent. But I do think they should increase the fucking thingy. Regular people don't care about staking. All they care about. Yeah, I mean, just drop some ideas in here, bro. Drop some ideas in here. I think it will help. It will help the staking at least as well. Yeah, who's a good to see you, bro? 25% TV of the market cap. Is that what it works out to be? I think that's pretty good, yeah. What extent does all economic model which seamlessly involve incentivized storage per token that drives the value? We all need to become a storage. I don't really what extent does all economic model which seamlessly involves incentivizing storage providers with tokens that derive their value from users who only join to become storage providers? Well, I don't know what that means, but yeah. I don't think the fiat system collapses. They directly monetize debt after the next depression. Abraham Lincoln has actually used greenback. That's valid. I think that's valid. I actually think that's a valid point. When do I think about this? New all-time high 120. Grab a bunch of leverage enough for a wheel to sell BTC. Crush 80k. John Powell comes in. Look, the only way that will happen is if we crash to 80k, will be like a black swan, which I don't know. I don't think that's gonna happen. Look, the only time Powell will come to the rescue is if it's a black swan, and we don't really want a black swan, but bullish today. My hair is bullish today. To what extent Alt's economic model, which seamlessly involves incentivizing storage providers with tokens that derive users who only join becomes? I don't think, but that's not for us though. The storage provider, I don't think that's for us. I've never used it. I don't know about this one, bro. Actually, after September, maybe that could be a valid assessment, Stefan. That's not a bad assessment actually. 120k, grab a bunch of leverage. I do agree with that. Then crash it down to 80. Joao comes and aims QT. We have an alt season after September. That's not a bad assessment, I don't think. I agree. It seems like market makers deliberately keep the price low. I also don't agree with running out of time. BTC ending just because of the cycle. Yeah, I don't agree with the time because in a business cycle there is no time limit. It's not a 4-year cycle. It's a business cycle. Keep that in mind. And this is the first business cycle BTC has ever seen. Any new projects we can DC on this little drop? New projects. What I've been buying as a trade, because I don't want to buy too many new projects. The way I look at this is the more I have stacked of one token or one, the more stacked my tokens are, the less X's I need. So what I do is I keep my long-term bags and then I do trades. So fast moving assets. One of the ones I've bought recently as like fast moving assets is TIE. On the recent drop, when BTC was like around 103 or some shit, I bought some TIE. It was like 10 cents or some shit. Around 10.5, I think I got in. It's now like 11.5. Right? It's easy trade. Low fee, I got in at 36.5 to be exact. It's currently at 0.45. So even this, I'm up like 20% on this shit. Ondo, this is another one I trade regularly. Not only because I like Ondo long term, anyways. So even if this continues to go down, because I do on spot, I don't mind. I'll hold this through the down days because I know at some point it'll go up. That's what I do. But obviously, I buy heavy on the high caps because even if this goes up 30, 40%, if I put 10, 20, 30K in there, even at 10, 20%, I'll make like 5, 6, 7 grand. And then what I do is when my profits, I'll move it and add to my long-term bags, the ones that are not pumped yet. That's what I do. That's how I've been playing the game for the last 4 or 5 months now. Been trading, adding to my long-term bags, profiting, adding to my long-term bags. That's the game you guys should play now. Have money on the side to trade. Once you make money with the trades, use the profits, add to your long-term bags. As I said, the more stacked your bags are, the less amount of X's you need. That's all it is. Do you have any updates on Munity Game? Yeah, Munity Game is coming out. I don't know exactly when. I don't think they've given a date, but on that hype, it did rally fairly well. It popped like a 3x, and obviously, just like any low cap after bullish news, people just dump it back down. So that's how the fuck it works. I don't know when they're gonna drop it, but they've released a trailer. So app coming soon to App Store. I don't know the exact dates, but it will definitely come though. Looks pretty decent for a mobile game, in my opinion. It will come, and they've also got a big get listing as well. Keep that in mind. I think they delayed it because the market got bearish. But you type in big get here, you guys can see they've secured. Oh, they deleted it, the cunts. But yeah, they got the big get listing that will happen at some point. It's just that I think they announced it at the wrong time, and the market went downhill, so it is kind of smart not to get listed on there. Of Ise. I remember this token. You're down 75%. Fucking hell. Volume is good. TVL shit. Market cap is low. Barely any dilution. Is this the RWA coin? Oh, this is the okay. Upcoming IDOs. State X is on here as well. Wagme Hub. AI agent dev. Yeah, it looks like a launchpad. Oh, it's a launchpad. Just launchpad. Okay. I think launchpad will do well when the market gets hot. But at the same time, launchpads this late in the cycle is never ideal. And that's why you see most of them just dump. But you can see it did pump like a 3x, 3.5, 4x when the market got bullish. So I think when the market gets bullish again, it probably will do the same shit. So 9 million at the peak, or 12 million at the peak. It's at 3 million. So even if it gets back to its all-time high, you probably will get break even. So I would just keep it. Just keep it. There's no point moving it now. You're down 75%. I don't like to sell anything being down that much because it will always, you'll always move back up. Minty going through a rough time as a DJ and it will pump during effect. It's not really going through a rough time, bro. It's in the same range as being. It just had people think it's going through a rough time, but all it's done for the last month is just pump and come back down. It's not rocket science. I mean, look, just pumped. It's just almost back to the floor price again. That's it. It had the pump because the news came out and then just dumped back down. It's not really a rough time. It's done what most coins have done. Had a rally on this dump, rallied back down. Keep in mind, this is like 300K market cap. So it doesn't need a lot of money to rally and it doesn't need a lot of money to dump it. It's not really going through a rough patch. It's just in the same range as it was before. Good to see you, Buzz, as well, though. How does Alt plan to ensure? Bro, what fuck you asking me like I'm the fucking CEO, bro? Bro, what the fuck is this guy asking me like I'm the CEO of Alt, bro? What the fuck? Yo, that's funny, that is. What the? Yo, that's crazy, bro. Bro, what are you asking me for? I don't fucking know, bro. How does Alt plan to ensure sustainable adoption? Well, why the fuck are you asking me? I'm not fucking Max Lee, bro. It's crazy, bro. Any good news during these time sentiments? Fuck yeah, I don't think there's any good news is fucking stupid, anyways. Chris Siphon just launched. I'm staking Beam. Maybe they're good. Are they like joined together? Because Solfund looks pretty good in my opinion. As a project, this token looks pretty good, and I don't think there's any unlocks for like the first year. So which is I think is pretty good. I'm late, but dropped a like. Good to see you, Jason, bro. How you been? You forgot about crypto talk. Is it on? Is it on here, broski? Bro, you're asking the wrong guy about these old questions, bro. Oh, it's like fucking 4-5% of my portfolio, bro. You guys are acting like is my fucking 99% of my portfolio. I love alt, but I don't fucking love it that much. Or I know everything about it. It's literally like 4-5% of my port. It's not anything crazy, bro. Trust me. It's just it's probably one of my highest degen coins, like low caps, but it's not anywhere near the top of my portfolio list, bro. I'm looking into it now, brother. Freedom Layer. Crypto Talk is a decentralized, privacy-first messaging platform. Fuck a messaging platform. Lightlink, ultra fast library. Okay, so it's got a bunch of buzzwords. Experience the perfect blend of creativity and functionality, decentralized, privacy-first messaging, and asset tokenization. Okay, so it's got a bunch of buzzwords, but it doesn't seem like they got anything. Like there's no product. Okay, so they got messaging SDK. No one gives a shit about. Yeah, this looks like a clear scam, bro. What the fuck is this? Bro, what the fuck is this, bro? It's not RWA though. It's not tokenizing anything. Nah, this is terrible, bro. I'll skip this shit, bro. This is fucking terrible. It's on Ethereum as well, which makes it 10 times worse. But this is awful, bro. I wouldn't touch this with a stick. Nah, no shame at all, my friend. No shame at all. Check out Amico. The fuck is that? Let's have a look. Amico. I'm gonna get off in like 5 minutes, bro. 4 million just got. It looks like you just got on CoinGecko. Kick is America first product, soft, glowing square you can keep in your pocket and place by your side. It listens to you speak and helps Eliza stay connected throughout the day. Bro, what the fuck is this, bro? What the fuck is this? Why do I need to keep this in my pocket to keep Eliza? Am I tripping, bro? What the fuck is this? Tap to talk what you need. Enables always listening mode, hands-free mode. Bro, this just sounds like a fucking spy, bro. Blends physical hardware with intelligent software. So on-chain contact language model runs light, stays. Bro, what can you do with this though? Pocket. Bro, this is terrible, bro. What the fuck is this? Nah, this ain't it, bro. This one ain't it, bro. Be honest. This looks like a fucking, what the fuck even is that? Corpo's looking like a Nyan Heroes looks like a rug. So look, I've not looked into Corpo in a while, but you gotta keep in mind, guys, a lot of these gaming coins, just this fucking first quarter of 2025, we've had approximately like 20, gaming companies just rug, just they've abandoned the project. And Nyan Heroes was one of them. So, it's I wouldn't be surprised because one thing you gotta keep in mind with a lot of these projects, let's see how much these guys raised. They raise a certain amount, but the difference between Nyan and Corpo is it seems that these guys already have a working game, whereas Nyan was actually so they raised $12 million. So I hope they can fucking use that 12 million to, fucking they're all down on the investments. But Nyan Heroes raised, let me show you guys how much they raised. They raised $13 million in the space of one fucking year, They drained all that 13 million. Let's go on here actually. They drained that 13 million and then couldn't get any more funding because their game apparently failed like 5 times. Right? They launched in June, so it's been literally 1 year. They rinsed $1 million, $13 million in 1 year. Couldn't get any more funding, and then the team just abandoned the project. Fuck knows how much of this money they pocketed. Guaranteed they pocketed at least $1 million out of that shit. The only difference is between that and Corpo. Corpo had a working game, whereas Nyan Heroes game failed apparently like 5 times. That's the only difference. So yeah, I don't know, man. It's a weird one. This is a weird one, yeah. I don't think you're rug though. Since the team's fairly active, look, the thing is, don't mistake the team waffling on Twitter as them developing. You have to, you know, because many teams just waffle, but if there's nothing really going on, conflict about to get there. It's just like they're building that game, which is okay. The thing with Nyan was the game was supposed to launch so many times, but it kept fucking failing, and they hadn't have enough money to keep the game developing, and that's why they just rugged. Seems these guys, you know, yeah. They have a working game which is pretty decent, so I don't really see this one rug pulling. You know, it's just that game is so dead. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, to be honest. But this game is there. And Meniko and Eliza could be the next AI 16 that have some connection. Eliza is AI 16, my friend. But that fucking pocket shit is not gonna be. It's not gonna do nothing. But I'll be honest. When G's hairline is restored, yo, my hairline got fucked. You guys, let me see if I can show you guys, bro. My hairline used to begin over here, bro. You see it? You see it's growing back. My hairline used to begin over here. The motherfucker pushed it back all the way here, bro. This is where my hairline used to be. You can see it's slowly going back. You see this little dark shit here? It's going back, bro. That's how fucked my barber got. It pushed my hairline back that much. If always 90% of your portfolio, at what stage do you transition from being an early adapter to unpaid exit liquidity and coordinator for the core team or team unlock schedule? It's not really, because when they do unlock, the token doesn't really dump. That's what you don't realize. It's like fair enough, right? If yo, these are bots. Why are they copying each other, bro? What the fuck? Oh, these are bots, bro. Ban. Yeah, these guys are fucking bots, bro. Why they always spamming the same shit? I'm ban you as well. To Musk. It's fucking bots, bro. That's crazy. Playable game on AVAX chain. Playable. I don't know, but most of these gaming coins are just fucking dead. Still, this one has still decent volume though. 6 million market cap. This done really well initially. Yeah, done really well, and then it's faded like every other gaming coin, bro. I do agree, bro. It looks fucking terrible, bro. Looks terrible. Some fucking pocket, like some pocket shit, bro. Yeah, they're bots, but they changed names in meantime as well. That's crazy. I didn't even know they were fucking bots because they're just spamming that shit. Man, that means live, explore live, motherfuckers are bot as well. Yeah, this retard's a bot as well, bro. I'm banning him. That means motherfuckers are making alt accounts and botting the chat from this. That's a sad life. Oh god, no. Look at the Nai ecosystem. So I think it's very impressive. Even SA is on the Night ecosystem as well. Edge metrics as well. Fucking hell, I remember that coin. Anyways, guys, I think I'll wrap this shit up now. I'll probably be live in a few days, maybe. IONET, Kip, Neuromesh. Neuromesh is still around. That's crazy. But yeah, guys, on that note, I think we can wrap this shit up. Drop a like on your way out. The market overall, in my opinion, is we're gonna have a little pullback, maybe to the 100k region, maybe to a little bit lower. But overall, I do think we'll probably put in a new all-time high fairly soon. Bitcoin seems to be, holding this region fairly well. As long as we don't go below the 100k region, I think in the short term we're okay. So as long as we don't below this little consolidation phase, then the next level will probably be the 94, 96 region. So if we can hold above this, then ultimately we're looking pretty good. So let's see what BTC does here. It's below the bull market support band on the daily. If we can get above it, then we're most likely going to continue higher. If we get rejected here, then we're most likely going to come down to the 50-day moving average, or then the 94k region, which would be the 200-day moving average. So that is the two places I will be looking for. But like I said, the market opens tomorrow, so we'll have to see. G Swift's a good project overall, my friend. I've already talked about G Swift.